nation. The idea of a sovereign Palestinian state existing alongside Israel was once seen as the only realistic path to peace. But after the deadliest violence in the region's modern history, how realistic is it?
The idea of a two-state solution dates back to 1947, when the United Nations proposed partitioning the British Mandate of Palestine into two states, one Jewish, one Arab, marked here in red, with Jerusalem under international control. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, the Arab leaders rejected it, and a war broke out, during which Israel declared independence in May 1948. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were expelled from their homes. The war and its aftermath pushed the founding of any Palestinian state into the future. Escalating tensions over territorial disputes involving Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria led to the 6 Days War in 1967 and brought another 1 million Palestinians under Israeli occupation, along with the territories they claimed for the future state. In 1993, the Oslo Accords revived hopes. Israelis and Palestinians recognized each other and began building a framework for peace. The proposed territory for the Palestinians was much smaller than in 1947 and included Gaza and most of the occupied West Bank under a complex system of shared and divided control. But in the 3 decades since, the vision has been eroded by Palestinian uprisings and terror attacks and Israeli occupation, blockades, and oppression. Since the Hamas terror attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, followed by Israel's full-scale war in Gaza, for many in the region, peace looks more distant than ever. On the Palestinian side, a divide between the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Hamas, which still controls Gaza, has paralyzed governance, which is widely seen as corrupt and disconnected from the people. In Israel, the current government, the most right-wing in the country's history, rejects Palestinian statehood outright. Many politicians advocate annexing the occupied West Bank and further expanding Israel's settlements that fragment Palestinian land into isolated enclaves. And the settlements, now housing over 500,000 Israelis, are just one of the key open questions still to be resolved in any future solution. Others include Jerusalem and its status as a capital, Palestinian refugees and the right of return, the final borders and security arrangement, and of course, the future of Gaza, where the war keeps raging on.
All right, I want to go now to our reporter in Jerusalem, Emily Gordine. She's following things for us. Emily, help us understand what is going to happen today in the UN.
Well, the UN General Assembly today will vote on a proposal called the New York Declaration, which was put forward by France and Saudi Arabia. It essentially seeks to breathe some fresh air into the two-state solution between Israelis and Palestinians. Several countries have already pledged their support of this proposal, including Germany. And what this proposal crucially also includes is a clear condemnation of Hamas's attacks on civilians on October 7th, 2023. And it also fully excludes Hamas from any future leadership, future governance of Gaza. Despite this, the Israeli representative has criticized, the Israeli representative to the UN has criticized this proposal, saying that, quote, it threatens to prolong the war, embolden Hamas and undermine real diplomatic efforts. So clear rejection on the Israeli side. But I think it's also important to mention here that it's not the first time that the UN voices its support for a two-state solution. The crux here really is what will follow from this. Will the countries that support this proposal be willing to exact some kind of price from the Israelis, but also from Hamas, to make this reality and for both sides to adhere to international law?
And Emily, at the same time, we know the French are also pushing for recognition of an independent Palestinian state. How are these two initiatives connected?
Well, I mean, for one, you can't have a two-state solution without a Palestinian state. Two, you could also argue this might be Macron's play for legacy. But I think, crucially, this proposal is essentially a response to the fact that negotiations, ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas really have been going nowhere. And that is in part also due to the fact that the Israelis are adamant in their refusal to end the war and to seriously, meaningfully think about a future political solution with the Palestinians as their neighbours. And so this, I think, is a move to put additional pressure on Israel to engage meaningfully in a political process.
Where is Israel in all of this, Emily? What's the response that you are hearing from the government in Jerusalem?
Well, the response has been outright rejection, really. We've also seen threats made by the Israeli government to close the French Consulate General in Jerusalem, which acts as a point of contact with the Palestinians. But we've also seen threats over the last few weeks by Israeli ministers to annex the entire Israeli-occupied West Bank. The occupation in and of itself was deemed illegal by the International Court of Justice a few months ago. But we're also seeing plans now to construct, for example, to increase the settlements in the occupied West Bank, and also to construct the area called E1, which is an area east of Jerusalem, which is crucial for a future Palestinian state. If and when Israel starts to construct on this area, experts believe that this will essentially cut the occupied West Bank in two, and it will also cut East Jerusalem, which is meant to be the capital of a future Palestinian state, off from the rest of the West Bank. And we also saw Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday come out saying that there will not be a Palestinian state, quote, this place belongs to us. So very clear rejection of these proposals, and so far no willingness to engage with this proposal that was essentially put on the table by some of Israel's closest allies in Europe.
Okay, DW's Emily Gordine with the latest from Jerusalem. Emily, thank you.